morning, everybody, and welcome to the Honeycomb home. I am Brinsley Skye. I'm a practicing witch for over half a decade now, and in today's video we'll be talking about the water element, and I'll be touching upon the spirit element just a little bit. I don't think I will have a whole separate video for that, just because I want to do a elemental spirit series where I talk about the different spirits and ways of communicating with spirits, ancestors, fae. All of that stuff is in itself a lot, and I don't want to get it confused too much in the elemental series, in the element series. So I'll be making a whole separate video for that. So let's get into it. Hello, and today is gonna be a day. I apologize for the way I look. Kind of got to jam this video in real quick. So today we're going to be talking about the water element. This is part of a series that I've been doing on my podcast, which is the element series. So you guys who are watching me have only seen the last video, which was the air element. I do hope that at some point I'll be able to upload at least a video, not exactly to go with the podcast, but maybe just to touch upon the other elements that I didn't get to talk about in my video. So this element is a lot. It's a lot. The water element, I feel like, is, I wouldn't say the most important, but it makes up so much that trying to fit this into a one video or one episode might be a little bit difficult for me. So the water element is probably the most utilized element out of all of them. Just because if you think about it, we are water beings. I don't care what anybody else says. I truly believe that we are water beings. The earth is mostly water. We are made up of mostly water. We came from the water. So a lot of things keep stirring up where I feel like in connectivity with everything, we probably feel the most connected with water. I mean, I know this has nothing to do with it, but kinda. When we take showers and when we are present in water, when we love to swim as a hobby, we like to be submersed in water. And of course, other people may not feel this way just because of the way that they are composed, star chart and all of that. It may not necessarily be that they are able to connect with this element as easily as somebody else who has a lot of water in their chart. Me personally, I have a hard time connecting with the water element, and I am trying to open up a little bit more because I know that that's something that I'm lacking as far as balance is concerned. So in this episode, I'm going to touch upon the water element as a whole, what it can do for you, how to use it, and a lot of this is not necessarily ritual based. A lot of this is more connecting with the element. So in the past episodes where I talked about different herbs or things like that you can use, I probably won't touch upon that in this episode. I will, if you're watching me, I'll leave in the description some resources and things like that you can actually use. But in this episode, I really wanted to focus on how to connect with this element and how it can really, where this whole thing started, essentially. One thing that I have not talked about in this series is how all of these elements are connected in our human body and how it mimics, how a lot of nature and natural occurrences mimic the human body. When I found out that I was pregnant, something that I actually was doing at the time, I carried my camera with me everywhere. Everywhere I went, I was taking pictures. I worked in Atlantic City for a little bit, and so I was constantly driving around near the water, near the ocean, seeing different things, and I would always take pictures. And something that always intrigued me was how the closer that you zoom into an object and the little tiny occurrences that you see mimic so much of the cells in our body and the human body itself. You've probably seen these pictures where people take pictures of their eyes and they look like nebulas. They look like the universe. And, you know, the one thing that I personally think is that the eyes are the window to the soul, right? They are stardust. They are part of the universe. They are the all-seeing part of us. That's why eye contact is so powerful, is because you're literally tuning into these people's souls. You're tuning into this person. And for me personally, a lot of the times I have a harder time keeping eye contact with somebody or doing things like that because of how powerful and how much energy I personally feel while connecting with somebody that way. It is good to use if you do need to utilize that in a different way, but that's just something to keep in mind. Another thing that, especially with the water element, you know, your eyes, but also think about where we came from. When we were in the womb, we were surrounded by liquid, we were surrounded by water, and the sounds that we heard were very much of the same sounds as as water crashing on the shore, as the movement of water. And those sounds are so calming for a lot of people, even people that have never been to the ocean before. They find so much comfort in the sound of the water crashing and the sound of movement like that. And it's because it reminds us of when we were so safe and comfortable in our womb, you know? So it's really interesting to take a step back and really start looking at the earth as a whole, and how it can how things are all connected. And as you find something that you resonate with most, and you start doing more of the research in that way, it can really you'll start putting all the pieces together. With the water element in itself, I think the reason why I put this as the last element that I wanted to touch on is because of how powerful it can be, and it's so versatile. There are so many crystals and stones and any of those things that you can carry with you that just help alleviate some of the heaviness that we have while just living our daily lives. When we live our daily lives, we pick up on so much energy from different people, and it just kind of stacks on top of each other, and it kind of, our bubble, right? It can kind of bring our bubble in and make us feel really tight. You might notice that if you start getting muscle tension or pains, and yes, it can also be if you're working on your feet all the time or doing things like that. But a lot of the times, if you will store it even more so if you are not getting rid of all of the energy from the day. That's why showering and taking baths are very, very important, especially in a practice like this. Simple things as taking a shower with the right intentions can really, really help alleviate all of that pressure and stress that you may have just picked up during your daily life. As far as baths are concerned, this is where it gets extremely complex, but can also be as simple as just taking a normal bath. If you have the opportunity to do some research with different herbs, and the reason why I didn't really want to put in specific herbs or anything is because it really depends on what your intention is. The water element is very, very versatile. In a ritual bath situation, mainly they are done either on a full moon or a new moon. The moon is the embodiment of the water element. The moon and how it is in the different phases of the moon and how it dictates the tides of the earth, it can also dictate the water within your body. And that's why during certain times of the year, certain times of the month where we feel heightened or we feel more motivated or anything like that, it's because of those shifts in the moon, and of course with other planetary transits and things like that too. So with bath rituals, there are so many things. You can go all out, or you could do something so simple. My personal opinion, I like keeping things very simple, because then that way I can kind of dictate and write down how I felt before, what I used in my bath, and then how I felt afterwards and the couple days afterwards. I used to take baths all the time. Now that I am a mom, I don't get the luxury as much as I used to. But doing those simple baths, or those simple intentions, and setting those intentions while you're in the shower, to make sure as the water is hitting your face and running down, making sure that you are really paying attention to that runoff and all that grossness going down the drain. Yeah, pay attention to the energy, and it's like, yes, all the negative energy is going to roll off of me, and I'm releasing this negative energy, and it's washing itself away. With baths, you can add herbs, you can add crystals, you can add bath bombs. There's actually a couple companies that make specific bath bombs for moon rituals and things like that. These are extremely, extremely helpful, especially if you do have a short time to kind of gather your materials, or even if you feel compelled or anything. Like if you wanted to do a specific moon ritual, you can do that by using all these different things. With crystals though, a lot of people like to put crystals in their water, and they like to put crystals in their baths and things like this. Please make sure that your crystals are safe to be submerged in water. Not only is it damaging to the crystals, but it can be extremely, extremely toxic to the water, and you definitely don't want that toxicity going down a drain and then leaking itself out into the world. You really do not want that. I'm pretty sure, I hope that I'm correct. If not, I'll probably put a little note or something like this. But as far as I know, the one little tiny trick that I've always heard is that if the crystal ends in ITE, it is not safe to put in water. So clear quartz, things like that, go for it. If you want, you can put it in water. A lot of people like doing this during the full moon. When they set out their moon water, they will put crystals in it, and that can be used in their practice, whether it's scrying or anything like that. They can use that in their practice. So we touched on baths and the cleansing of that way. Another way of connecting with the water element is going outside during a nice little rain. This is one of my favorites. Whenever I start seeing rain come down, I'm like, okay, I need to rush outside. It's one of those things where it's kind of the earth is letting me know that I need to be a little bit more present in that moment and kind of refocus myself. And honestly, stepping outside in a little bit of rain and letting my hair get wet and letting that water hit my face, it's extremely refreshing. It's more refreshing than a shower hitting your face, and I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if that's because of it coming straight from the earth. I'm not sure, but it's very, very powerful, and it can help you just shift your focus a little bit. I know that days that I've gone outside during rain or anything like that, I may have been a little distracted during the morning, and then I go outside, I get that rain on my face, and I'm like, you know what, maybe I'll do this right now, and then it kind of puts me in the right direction to what I may want to do versus what I need to do, which is very important sometimes. So another way of kind of connecting with the water element is doing the moon water. This can be done any moon phase. It really depends on what you want out of it. It depends on what you're using it for, all of that sort of thing. Moon water can be used you can use it for your plants. You can drink it as long as it is in a safe container when you were setting it outside. You can use it in your cooking. If you are a kitchen witch, you can use it in your cooking, or if you just like cooking, go for it. Add a little magic to it. So other ways that you can use the water element in your practice is to make sure that during that time of year, whether it's the sun sign during that year, which sun sign. The zodiac signs that are present in the water element, and performing your rituals during those times. So Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, those are the 3 water signs. When working with these different signs, a lot of people have this idea that they are extremely emotional, but it's actually the complete opposite. They are emotional, but they are ever feeling their emotions. They feel their emotions so powerfully that it can be, they're in tune. I'm trying to think of a way to phrase this that doesn't come off as rude, but it's not even being rude. I'm trying to figure out the wording correctly. The water signs they feel their emotions so strongly, and it doesn't mean that they don't have a handle on their emotions. Sometimes that's the case, but everyone can not have a handle on their emotions. When working with these signs, you can actually tune into that power of being able to feel your emotions and be present in those emotions and really, really sit with them and process them. Whereas in other signs, you may, like with the earth sign, you're grounding and you're stabilizing yourself. But with the water element, you want to be able to be grounded with that earth element, but still feel those emotions wholeheartedly and let them process. And that's the difference it's easier to do that with the water element. Like, I'm not saying it's not possible with the other ones, but it is easier to do that and connect with your emotions in the water element, which is why meditating during your ritual baths, meditating while you are just outside when it's raining, even if you're not directly in the rain. I also would like to say, please do not sit outside or go outside if there's thunder or lightning. Just don't do that. That's not safe. But if it's a rainy day or something, you can sit inside and meditate and channel that rain into your meditation. If you are able to sit outside while it's raining, letting that water hit you while you're meditating is extremely clearing. So I think what else I wanted to talk about was touch upon the spirit element a little bit. I know that I'm not going to have a whole separate video on this just because I feel like all of these elements have an essence of it, and that's why, like, there's different ways, and I think I'm going to be bringing it up in a couple of different episodes. Just, it doesn't need its whole element, because the spirit element and your crown chakra and all of that, it leaks into other things. I'm dragging this on. Talk about the spirit element. It is essentially the 5th element. I'm sure you've heard the 5th element before. It's the all-seeing energy portion of our physical elements. So that's why it can be found in all of these physical forms as well as your existence. The spirit element runs through us. It's the energy force. It's the life. It's that driving force that keeps everything in motion, and it's kind of the secret way behind all of the other elements as well. It keeps everything all together, and it is above, below, and within. So it can be hard to kind of wrap your head around with working with that element, but essentially magic and witchcraft and whatever you may practice is working with that spirit element. It's tuning into that unknown and making sure that you are learning as much as you can about it, feeling the energy within your hands, making sure that you are present, feeling your skin, feeling your bones, feeling your joints, all of those things. That's the spirit element. When we work with spirit itself, can be working with our higher self. We can be working with ancestors. We can be working with demons. We can be working with deities. We can be working with essentially anything of the unknown. And all of those connect with your spirit element, connect with that crown chakra part of you and that meditative state. I will be talking a little bit more about spirit meditations in another video. I do have that written down somewhere, so it's going to be sooner than later. But when we look at those things, we really have to make sure that we are doing this in a way that is safe for ourselves and for the people around us, which is why I won't be covering any of that stuff here. But most of the things that I've touched upon, actually, I've covered in my visualization and grounding episode, my podcast episode. I'll be linking all of that stuff in the description. I really do highly recommend that if you are watching me currently, that you, if this is something that interests you, to really go back into my other episodes that I've put out and just revisit them, look at them. Just because they hold a lot of information about safety, protection, all of that stuff. So with the elemental series, I really wanted to make sure that it was fairly simple and straightforward. The reason being because this is the basics. These are the starting blocks. And I feel like it's easier to start with the elements because in every single element there are zodiac signs, there's herbs, there's crystals, there's practices, there's all of these things, there's spirits, there's elemental spirits, which is something that I'll be talking about with that whole spirit meditation episode. So all of these things can be a little overwhelming, but when you start with the elements and kind of see what calls to you a little bit, maybe go from there, work from there. And it doesn't necessarily mean that if I'm a earth sign, I can't work with the water element or the fire element, or if it's not in my chart, I can't work with it. It has nothing to do with that. It's about opening yourself up, because essentially we need to work with all of these elements in some way to create that balance within ourselves and really make sure that our mind is peaceful. All right, so that was the water element. I really do hope that you enjoyed this episode. I know that it was a little bit shorter than the other ones. That's all of my fault. I just didn't have quite the time to really deep dive into this, but I really hope that you got some useful information out of this. If you have any questions, any concerns, anything like that, please message me on Instagram. That's the main platform. If you are watching me right now, leave a comment down below and I will definitely answer your questions either in the comment section or in a next episode. I really enjoy doing the elements. I learned a lot as I was doing some research. I do have all separate articles for these for the elements. As soon as my website is up and running, I will be linking all of those articles in the description. As far as anything else is concerned, I am going to be taking a short break for about 3 weeks. My daughter's birthday party is coming up and I have a lot to do for it. So I definitely probably put a random video that has nothing to do with witchcraft in here at some point because of the amount of work that I know my friends and I have been putting into this party. But I just need the time to really focus on my daughter for the next couple of weeks, as well as some upcoming products that I'll be featuring in a giveaway at the end of the month. So if anyone is interested in that, please follow me on Instagram because that's where I'll be posting this giveaway. And I will be also showing the process of me making all of and crafting all of these products. I have sensory blankets for babies coming out with sigils sewn into them. I actually have one complete. I will be making 2 more. So I'll be having 3 sensory blankets with different sigils sewn into them that will be charged. I also will be having a goddess teether that I have been perfecting for the past couple of months. So that's going to be released at the end of the month, as well as spell jar necklaces. So all of these things are coming soon, and I really hope that you stick around and just enjoy the ride with me. It's all new to me, it's all new to you. It'll be fun. Hopefully we can get through all of this, and please, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. Enjoy the rest of your day.